Hi and selamat sejahtera. So today we're going to do oral presentation DUE10012 Communicative English 1, and my name is Kirtigan son of Mahalingam, and my matric number is 01DKA21F1038. And my partner name is Nick Muhammad Ashraf Zafran bin Ishamuddin, and his matrix number is 01DKA21F1044. Today we like to discuss about social issues in Malaysia. And today we like to talk about 6 factors on harassment. Know what is harassment? Okay, let me explain about it. Harassment covers a wide range of behaviors of an offensive nature. It is commonly understood as behavior that demeans, humiliates, or embarrasses a person, and it is characteristically identified by its unlikelihood in terms of social and moral responsibleness. In the legal sense, these are behaviors that appears to be disturbing, upsetting, or threatening. They involve from discriminatory grounds and have an effect of nullifying a person's rights or impairing a person from benefiting from their rights. When these behaviors become repetitive, it is defined as bullying. The continuity or repetitiveness and the aspect of distressing, alarming, or threatening may distinguish it from insult.
I am Nick. Now I will continue about type of harassment. First, verbal harassment. It is a type of harassment that makes employees feel less comfortable, humiliated, threatened, and intimidated. Most of the time, people find it challenging to identify verbal harassment because of different reaction from people. Second, visual harassment. Visual harassment is a situation where the individual exposes themselves to another person without the consent of the victim, and the act affected their performance or attitude. And the last one is physical harassment. Physical harassment is an act where someone inappropriately touch you against your will. Physical harassment in the workplace is also known as workplace violence. Physical harassment behavior intimidated, embarrasses, threatened, and make the victim uncomfortable. So we're gonna focusing on the sexual harassment topic. Let's go. Now we would like to continue about 6 factors sexual harassment. The first factor of sexual harassment is the lack of religious education. It is because religion plays an important role in a person's life because it drives a person to act in the right path. Religion also can prevent a person from committing an evil deed. We can see that if the person mind and heart are full with religion education, he won't even have time to think about doing the wrongdoings in his religion, as he's not doing this kind of thing are just going to be a waste of time, as he's know the act is the contrary to the law of his religion. However, if religion is not impressive, then society and the country will be in disarray. This is because the person tend to do anything he wants without thinking either the act is right or wrong, and he won't even think about the consequences of the act. This is evident by the occurrence of various immoral crimes in our country, including the widespread crime of sexual harassment. So we can totally say that the lack of religion can be one of the reasons of sexual harassment. So in order to prevent this sexual harassment, parents should give enough religion education for their children even since they are little. Now, the second factor of sexual harassment is electronic media. Well now, what is electronic media and how this can be the cause of sexual harassment. Electronic media is media that use electricity, including television, radio, the internet, fax, CD-ROMs, DVDs, and online video streaming. It includes any medium that use the digital or electronic encoding of information. And now, how this can be the cause of sexual harassment? Well, electronic media also include movie, video clip, and pornography, website download from the internet, picture download from photo, as well as pornographic publicity that are easily available on the market. Through such resources, it will give encouragement and idea to the predator and how to sexually harass the victim. Apart from that, this will also make some of the predator feel like they want to try what they see, and because of that, they will then find the victim and try to do those horror things toward them. So I totally can say that electronic media also can be one of the reasons of sexual harassment. However, this matter can be stopped by parents monitoring their children's electronic devices. Children under 18 should not be given their on device any control. And the third factor is the loss of humanity in oneself, especially a guardian or a father entrusted by God to protect his children. From the statistic, it states the 34% of the rapists come from the victim or family, and this kind of act is actually really disgusting, as family should be the one that we trust the most, not the one who caused the pain. Expect fencing, eating rice. That is the proverb that should be given to a father who is willing to wrap his own flesh and blood. The reason why this happened because the father lost the humanity in him, that he willing to wrap his own flesh that he is supposed to protect. Apart from that, this also can happen when the victim partner thought that it's okay to forcefully sexually seek his partner despite the victim already say no or stop. To them, it's okay for them to touch their own partner, but actually it's definitely not okay. No matter if it's their own partner, it is still wrong for them to do those kind of act on the partner. And how we can say the boss of the situation only happened because they lost the humanity in themselves. So in my opinion, all of the predators should educate themselves and imagine themselves in the victim's shoes. So by this way, they will think first, do before act. That's all say with the provoke harassment. The law say, but it's the look through men's eyes when deciding what provoke it. Next, my partner will continue about 3 more factors sexual harassment. Thank you.
Thank you to Nick Muhammad Ashraf, my partner. And next, I would like to continue with my factor 4, violence and male self-perception. The relationship between the sexes in many countries around the world includes a considerable amount of violence against women. Data about the United States, from example, indicate that 1 out of every 10 women are raped or sexually assaulted during their lives, while more than half of all women living with men have experienced a battering or similar incident of domestic violence. Violence by men against women exists in the workplace, and it does in other settings. Some scholars, such as Susan Faludi, the author of Blacklash, the Undeclared War Against American Women, suggest that male hostility toward women in the workplace is closely connected to male attitudes about the proper role of a man in society. Surveys on men's perception of masculinity carried out in the US, for example, indicate that the leading definition of masculinity is being a good provider for his family. Mrs. Faludi concludes that some men perceive the feminist drive for economic equality as a threat to their traditional role. Thus, sexual harassment is a form of violence perceived as self-protection. The problem of sexual harassment relates to the roles which are attributed to men in social and economic life, which in turn directly or indirectly affect women's position in the labor work market. Chapter 5. The economics of women's work. This is focusing on the economics of men's work and women's work exposes sexual harassment as a way for the men who harasses women to express their resentment and try to reassert control when they view women as their economic competitors. Despite impediments women face in obtaining employment, there has been a massive influx of women into the labor force in the 1960s and 1970s, not only in the US but in a global scale. Women's entry into the workforce has been promoted by necessity, since many families cannot make ends meet if the wife and husband do not both work full time. This new and sudden influx of women into the labor force brought about two simultaneous but seemingly opposite reaction to women at work. On one hand, some men resented female employees and perceived them as a threat in traditionally male-dominated work environments. In these cases, the women were subjected to overt discrimination. That is, they received lesser valued job assignment, lack of promotions, lower pay, and sexual harassment to cause embarrassment and humiliation. The second reaction was to exploit the presence of women and make sexual favors and submission to sexual behaviors condition of employment. That is, to keep from being fired, demoted, or otherwise adversely affected at work. Both are forms of sexual harassment. Okay, I will continue with my last factor, which is factor 6, discrimination as a form of workplace control. Catherine McKinnon, author of Sexual Harassment of Working Women, was the first legal scholar to draw attention to the connection between sex discrimination and sexual harassment. If sex discrimination forces women into lower paying jobs, sexual harassment helps keep them there. This may not be the intention of the harassers in every instance, but it is often the effect. Seen in this context, male workers who harass a woman on the job are doing more than annoying her. They are reminding her of her vulnerability, creating tensions that makes her job more difficult and making her hesitant to seek higher paying jobs where she may perceive the tension as even greater. In short, sexual harassment creates a climate of intimidation and repression. A woman who is the target of sexual harassment often goes through the same process of victimization as one who has suffered rape, battering, or other gender-related crimes, frequently blaming herself and doubting her own self-worth. Thus, sexual harassment often accomplishes informally what laws against sex-based discrimination theoretically prohibit. Gender-based requirement for a job. A woman subjected to sexual harassment endures pressure, the degradation or hostility that a male co-workers don't have to endure, making it just that much harder to compete for the job and for the advancement. Here we go to the last part, which is conclusion. Sexual harassment is both an illegal and unethical practice. This is a problem for many organizations. The best method to deal with it is receive the immediate report of any form of sexual harassment to as per the chain of command. Sexual harassment not allowed by the law, as then the same laws that disallow gender discrimination also forbid sexual harassment. So sexual harassment affect the victim's psychology greatly. Okay, I would like to finish this oral presentation with quotes. You are not a victim of sharing your story. You are a survivor setting the world on fire with your truth. And you never know who needs your light, your warmth, and radiant courage. By Alex Ellie. Thank you.